Good afternoon and welcome to today's presentation, Legal Ease, Online Marketing for Attorneys. In today's webinar, Mr. Heninger will discuss basic online marketing rules for attorney advertising, marketing from a legal perspective, the process and need for SEO, PPC, and social media, leveraging networks to expand your clientele, and tracking your results and maintaining control of your campaign. To give you a little background about our presenter, Mark Heninger, he is an expert witness with experience in internet search marketing, lead generation, social media, mobile apps, contextual advertising methods, in-app purchasing, and e-commerce solutions. He has worked as a software solutions architect and product manager for more than 15 years. Mr. Heninger has been an invited speaker at several international technology conferences and has been an invited panelist at Digital Hollywood and the Consumer Electronics Show. He has also been an adjunct professor at UCLA and has given several talks at Pepperdine University. Attendees who require a passcode, the word for today is SEO. During the Q&A, we'll ask that you enter this passcode into the Q&A widget for CLE reporting purposes. The Q&A is located to the left of your screen. Please remember that if you are applying for CLE credit, you must log onto your computer as yourself and stay for the full 60 minutes. You are also required to complete the survey at the end of the program. Tomorrow morning, we will send out an email with a link to the archive recording of the webinar. The slides can be downloaded from the resource list to the left of your screen. Thank you all again for attending today, and Mark, the presentation is now turned over to you.
Thank you, Emily. Hello to everybody on the call, and welcome to our discussion, which we've named Legal Ease, some online marketing for U.S. attorneys. So I'm going to invite you guys to do three things. I don't want you to get caught up in the technology. I want you to think about what you're really good at and how you would describe it. And I want you to look at what we're discussing more like, think about being like a caveman. And instead of hunting for food, we're hunting for clients. And the technology that we're going to be talking about are the tools that we're using to set traps and get out there to get more people to find out about you and pick up that phone and call you or connect with you. So, and the third thing I want you to think about is how would you explain what you do to an 8th grader or to one of your kids? So get out of your attorney mode and think about your business and your firm as what it is, how you would explain it, and how you would break it down. So let's get started. So whether you're a lawyer practicing solo, or you're a small firm, or you're a large firm, the biggest challenge is staying ahead of your competition. And one of my favorite phrases, as well as Steve Jobs, is to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it's been. And that's Wayne Gretzky for any of you hockey fans out there. And what's important here is you need to be asking yourself a few things. You need to be thinking about who is my core clientele and what are they really interested in. I know they're coming to you because they have a problem and they want a solution and they want to win a case, but how do you build a campaign around your core competency? And that's doing things like looking at your, what are things that are important in your firm? What's the culture like in your firm? Those are also things that you can actually break down and have discussions about. And those are things that are going to have a client retain you. You got to think about what other choices do they have out there? What's your competition doing out there? There's a lot of people out there who are, excuse me here, I'm going to move this out of the way. Because there's a lot of people out there that are in competition with you. So you have to think about what is it that they do and what really differentiates you from the other people. And strategy to go and make this all happen. Let's dig in. What's the plan? The plan here is not to just do some boring SEO technical presentation, but I'm interested in discussing and sourcing and tracking more clients and having you to think about your firm's online presence online. So the goals of this panel, it's what you can and can't do. And there are a lot of things that we can do, and there are a lot of things that we can't do, but we want to make sure it's different from state to state, but we want to pay attention to the factors that we can put in there and be successful. We also want to we're going to describe the process and the need for what SEO is and what PPC is in social media. And PPC is a fancy word for pay-per-click, and SEO is a fancy word for search engine optimization. So we want to discuss how we can leverage all of these networks to expand your clientele and how you can use these strategies to really help you kind of acquire leads. So let's start with the basics here. Now, this might be the basics in 101 for you, but I think it's important for us to go and start with the basics and understand that there are some basic rules for attorneys when they're advertising online. So number one, misleading disclaimers. In almost every state, attorney advertising has to be labeled advertising in order to protect civilians from possibly disingenuous attorneys disguising their ads as something other than a request for work. So this is a laudable goal, but some states that are requirements for different attorneys on their websites, some of which are not intuitive and just have to be looked up first. For example, Kentucky's rule that the disclaimer appear on every page of a website in a place where the user doesn't have to scroll down to read. So, it's a good practice. That's what people call above the fold. So if you're looking at your screen or a browser, you want to make sure that you put the requirements or things that are disclaimers on the top left, and if your logo is up in the top left, put it on the top right, or someplace where you can see it when you would open up a browser and see it immediately. And I could send a lot of this information. I've done a lot of this type of marketing and working with firms and legal documents from entertainment to working with large software companies. So I'm happy to give you all the data, and all you have to do is contact Emily at the end of the webinar, and I'll give you all the material that we have. So let's keep going on some of these basic rules. Number two is misleading claims. Most states forbid claiming a specialty in a particular area of law unless you actually hold a state-issued certificate in that field. But states also prevent lawyers from making outright false claims or claims that aren't the whole truth. So, for instance, partially true but misleading statements or omissions. For example, photoshopping yourself into pictures with celebrities and putting that on your website. Of course, you don't want to do that. That's kind of just no. And number three, avoid making or stating promises. As you're already aware of, you do not make or allude to any promise or guarantee about particular outcomes. Generally, any statement about a prior client's outcome must be accompanied by a disclaimer that there's no guarantee for future cases will come out the same way or something along those lines. But it's important to look at these cases because these wins for you are really, and the points inside them are interesting. And those, again, you're telling a story. So those are the people like to hear are the stories. And that's what gets people to connect with you and want to retain your services. So number four, not knowing when you're advertising. If you have a blog, it might be considered as advertising as well. So in several states, a blog, even one that's separate from your own firm, it could be considered advertising if it meets the requirements. But generally, even a request to learn more and a link to the firm's website is enough to turn an entire blog post into attorney advertising. But I don't want that to take away on what you can or can't do because each state is different and there's ways to position your content on there and just address it by including any of these state-mandated disclaimers at the end of each of the posts. So as long as you're making sure that you're keeping things clinical, informative, and putting your disclaimers at the end, generally speaking, you're going to be okay. So, and making sure you tell people who you really are. Now, I know on this webinar that everybody here, I assume, are attorneys, but if you're not a law firm, but a referral service or a dialing service, then you need to say so. Because in December, 2 Illinois lawyers got suspended. They were operating a debt resolution firm, but they weren't disclosing, at least not very clear, that in reality they were actually farming debt resolution cases off to non-attorneys for the creation of debt settlement plans. So many clients said they wouldn't have enrolled in those plans if they knew that non-attorneys were handling them. So you got to be clear about who you are. And remember, you can't have law offices, plural, if there's just one office. So the we start looking at this, and it can be daunting and going, what is SEM? What's SEO? What's PPC? What is this online marketing? What's social media have to do? Or why should I be on Facebook? Why should I be on Twitter? So many different things to think about, and there's so many channels out there. There's so much noise that it's sometimes tough to sift through. And from a legal perspective, it's become a very complex and vast channel. But think about your brand in that center, and that's what I like about this graphic is you look at your brand in the center and think about who you are. And again, I go back to don't get caught up in this technology, but think about how you would describe what it is that you do. What's awesome, many places that you can share information about your area of law, and where you start, it's about where you put that information, because people are expecting you to share your information on search and on multiple networks, from blogs to wikis, YouTube, Twitter, and there's a lot of other ones that are out there. And they all contribute to the overall impact of your marketing message. And you're trying to convey the results for the people that are searching for you online. And again, the more we get out of this new paradigm, people do not want to be marketed to. They want to be communicated with. Flint McLaughlin, the director of Unique Labs, said it specifically. This is the new era, and it is that I do. So let's talk about what your current situation looks like. Many of you probably have a website, and if you don't, if you're getting ready to do one, great. Or if you're getting ready to redo your website, I'm glad you're here right now. So one thing Google is doing right now, and when I say Google, I'm referencing Google, Yahoo, and Bing, but 500 pounds in the world is Google, and they're great with all the tools that we have. And I'll show you near the end of this presentation how to set your company up using Google Chrome and being able to really organize everything effectively, so when you go and log on, you can see all your data in one spot. But first and foremost, it's making sure that your website is mobile ready. It needs to be able to be indexed by the search engines and be able to know what it is that you do, very clear and very concise, and now it needs to be able to be seen on a tablet, on an iPhone, on an Android. And Google is now penalizing sites as of June, and they're looking at sites and demoting the websites if they don't display properly on a mobile tablet or other device. So pay attention to that. And there's a tool if you want to take a quick note, and again, I'll include all of this information at the end. But if you want to check if your website is mobile ready, just type in Google Mobile Tool, and you can just drop it in, and you can see it'll actually give you it'll test it and tell you if your website is mobile ready. So if you're building your site, or you have to redo your site, and your site is not mobile ready, this is a great place to start, because there's really two choices when you're actually building a site out there. There's a standard HTML website, and again, let's get rid of HTML technology. It's sitting there with code and putting together a website, and it's hard to update if you don't know the code. That's kind of the standard HTML website. And anybody that's had sites that are over 5 or 6 years old or 7 years old, you're probably most likely in a website that was an HTML website. But now they have a new format, and they're all template-based, and there's a framework, and that framework is WordPress, Joomla, and there's others, and they make it really easy to update. It's more drag and drop, and once it's set in place, it's easy to get in there and go and add things to the site, change things on the site as well. I am a fan of WordPress, and WordPress, again, is a framework that you install, and it is easy to install. And there's nothing like going to YouTube and typing in how do I install a WordPress site and setting it up. It's really easy to follow. And then there's these templates that you can put over the top of them. And these templates are just skins, if you will, that you just put on top. And there are a lot of already pre-built attorney templates that you can use, and they're called themes. So if you type into Google attorney WordPress themes, you'll come back with a ton of them. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. The ones that I use here and that I have listed is Avada and Infold. They're really robust, and they're really pretty. And what's great about these templates, and something you want to pay attention to, is making sure that it's responsive. Again, another big word for saying that you want it to look right on both mobile and the desktop. And a responsive design, when you see that, that means that that framework of WordPress, it'll look fine. So whatever changes you make, it'll always look good across the board, and you don't have to have a lot of technical knowledge. So WordPress is, again, the framework that I would suggest, with 65 million installs all across the world. Google loves it, and Google understands what's in there. So as long as you're being clear with what your value proposition is, what your firm does, Google will be able to see it. And WordPress is a great theme, and it's a great framework, and Avada and Infold are good themes that you can put on top of the framework of WordPress, the skin, if you will. So, all right, let's dig again, because there's three basics. So as an attorney, it's important to understand the three types of marketing and advertising on the internet. There's, first of all, SEO. So that's just a word, search engine optimization. What that means is when you pull a browser up and you look at and you put a search term in, it comes back. The information that's on, not on the very top, it's on the very top, it's paid ads, but what comes up naturally, organically, it's people actually take content and put it into the search engines in such a way, and into social networks and into video networks, and they'll put that information into those networks. It brings you naturally up to the top. And SEO is something that I focused on because I think once you get to the top, it's maybe difficult to get there. And on an SEO perspective and doing that marketing, it could take up to 6 months depending on how competitive your market is. But once you get there, and if your people are good at it, you'll stay up there. You don't have to do a whole lot. You can move on to another search term and work on that. So that's SEO. It's naturally rising up through the search engine so that you are on top organically. Now, SEM is search engine marketing. The only difference is instead of coming up organically, you are filling up your gas tank with money with Google, and they will, when people do a search for your product or for your firm or for your discipline or expertise, then yours comes up, and you're paying Google, Yahoo, Bing, Facebook, Twitter, wherever these networks are, to basically put you on the very top. So if you look at Google, you'll see on the top where it says ad. People are paying for that, and Google operates like an auction. So certain keywords that you're going to put in that you're going to pay for cost more or less. So it's important to have a good understanding of what it is that your firm does, and write that, and know exactly what your discipline is. So then you can put that up into Google AdWords and be able to see what your competition is and how much those words cost. So that's search engine marketing, and that can get very granular as well. Then there's social, and social, like I said, I know people may roll your eyes and think, why do I need a Facebook page? Why do I need to be on Twitter? Why do I need these different mediums? And the thing is, those mediums now have become not only ingrained into how we communicate in the fabric of But it's also important because the search engines are indexing all this material. So having a Facebook page like facebook.com/your firm's name, great. But you also might want to get facebook.com/ a keyword, a discipline of what it is, an area that you are practicing, and then getting content to put onto those channels, which we'll cover as we move forward on. But you want to view each of these as a funnel, really to just get your firm's website out there and do the two things. Get them to hire you by informing you that you're an expert in your field, and give you their email or their phone number. And getting your email or phone number is important because email at the end of the day is still king. With all your marketing efforts, email may be the best way to connect with your current clients and future clients. Some of the tactics that are really effective is doing something like creating an ebook that illustrates and articulates a specific discipline in your field. So, for instance, if you're in a car crash, here are the top things you need to know about getting into a car crash. This is something you could put on your website that when people come there, however they find you, then here's something that you say, give me your first, your last, your email, and or your mobile number. You'd be surprised how effective this is, that people will give you money to, or give you money. They'll give you money. But how effective it is, actually, they'll give you their email address and download that book. And once you've got them in there, now you can start to market them on a regular basis until they say no thank you, or they share that information with more people and their colleagues and their friends. You can also build a white paper outlining the specific practices of area of your law. So it's not really advertising, but it's something that's merely about your practice area of law, and it's on your website. And the fact they've given you their email, now that is permission for you to stay connected with them. So with email, I look at this like the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your money is made by 20% of your clients, and you need to attract and find those 20% and have a relationship with them. Beyond winning the case, beyond not having them as a client yet, but having a conversation with them is really important, and email is still the best way for you to get at your core business and get referrals and stay relevant. And again, I want to go back. I want to make sure that we hit home that it is finding the culture of your firm, things that you're interested in. If you're interested in certain things, other people are interested in in the same thing. So bird of a feather do flock together, and the fact that you're practicing an area of law, you want to make sure that becomes kind of not the dial tone of what you do. You should be the dial tone of what you do, and the culture of your firm should be the dial tone of who you are, and that should come out. So if you're doing email, it may seem it's not just sending an email from your firm, but there's a lot of companies that are out there that make it really easy for you to send out emails massively to your customers and not go into the spam box. And so if you can find relevant marketing materials on a weekly or monthly basis and push it out, there are a bunch of services that are free, and they're free up to a certain amount, and then they'll charge. So the one on a basic level, and if there's technical people out there, you'll know, you've been through this, the MailChimp is super easy. It's free to get started, and you can, I think it's up to about 500 people, then over 500 people, then you have to pay for it. But it's a great tool to use and and connect with your audience. There's also constant contact. It's just a little more robust and allows you to do different things differently and manage lists differently. And that's one of the things is managing your lists can get daunting. So using MailChimp or Constant Contact is a great place to start. And if you're interested in other solutions that are a little more robust or a little more complex, I have inside this list at the end. If you when you ask for it, I'll make sure I include all of the providers out there and the ones that I recommend. So let's open it up to questions out there. Emily, if do you have any, would you like to chair this, or would you like me to do it?
I'll ask you the question.
Okay.
But first, could we have the attendees type the passcode into the Q&A for CLE credit? The first question is, what are the typical costs associated with template-based websites such as WordPress or the templates themselves from a place like Enfold? Is there an advantage to using these versus a free template found online or through a tool such as Yahoo Site Builder?
Okay, so a couple things. Let's address Yahoo placeholder. Typically, putting your website with a company that just kind of makes these websites for you under their name, that's not going to be good from a search perspective. You want to make sure you have your own domain name and it sits on your own place on the web, on a server that's yours. Otherwise, you're just driving traffic to them, and them being, there's a company called Squarespace, and same thing with Yahoo. If they host your website, you're not getting that benefit. You want to make sure you have an individualized website that's hosted by a reputable provider, whether it's GoDaddy or Media Temple or HostGator, anything like any of those reputable companies that give you your own unique spot. That's what you have to have. Otherwise, you're just giving it away. But in a theme, WordPress, again, it's a framework, and the themes that go over the top, yes, there are free themes. I think Enfold and Avada were, I want to say $55 to $65. And it's a one-time fee. But there are a lot of them out there. It's the ones that you like. If you type in free WordPress themes for attorneys, see what comes back. There's a lot of them that are out there. Eventually, though, because they do marketing, they bring you in to sites like Envato or ThemeForest or Theme Junkie, and you're paying some nominal fee for it. But the good news is, once you pay for it once, it's yours to be able to use. Just to hit it home is make sure that it is responsive. RESPONSIVE. That is what it means to me, responsive. Responsive means it'll work on a mobile device, a website, on your desktop, across the board.
Okay, our next question is, could you please explain what you mean by putting Arvada on top of WordPress?
Oh, okay. So when you install WordPress, and you can call your provider and just say, hey, I'd like to set up a WordPress theme with my domain, they most likely will install it for you. And then once it's there, you'll see that it'll say "Hello World." It's just it'll be a kind of an empty site. WordPress is a website at the end of the day, but you can also throw these themes or a skin on top of it, so you can dress it up. So what you do is you go find one of these themes, you download it, you just upload it, and you go into WordPress and you say, put this theme on, and it just installs. And I know it's hard probably to understand when we're speaking through it, but if you do a search on YouTube and say, how do I install a theme onto WordPress, it'll probably give you understanding and be clear to you.
Okay, and are you saying that Squarespace websites are not indexed by Google, that you were directing it to a website only owned by you?
Yeah, here's the thing with Squarespace and some of the others that I can't remember off the top of my head. The reason that they're really, don't get me wrong, they're awesome because it's really easy to create a website. But at the end of the day, the website that people are going to and is squarespace.com/. They're going to Squarespace first. And I know that you can have Squarespace host your domain name, which is good. But from what I've seen is that Squarespace becomes one more obstacle in between you and you having your search terms coming directly to you. It's not on your domain.
Okay, those are all the questions we have. We will have another Q&A at the end, so please continue with the presentation.
Okay, great. So let's move on. So let's talk about SEO and paid media and why that's important. So to identify what makes search unique among all the other marketing channels and this difference between paid and organic, it's when you're doing a paid campaign, it's based on it's clearly just based on money. So the more money you put in, the more impressions you get. But you also want to make I have a client that a little story is they went into Google AdWords and they set a campaign, and they set it to spend about $600 a day, and they did this about 2 years ago. And last year it wasn't bad, but this year what happened is they ended up with a bill for $21,000. And so you got to be careful paid media for SEM or search engine marketing, because you want to make sure you set the amount of money that you want to spend every day. And it's easy to do if you pay attention, but if you don't, it can jump out of control. So on the paid side, it's great because you're getting a lot of impressions, but you also want to make sure that you are being very granular with what it is that you do. So if you say, law firms in Los Angeles, that's really, really wide. And hey, if you're paying for that term, now people are and they're clicking on it, and it's not what they want. It's a waste of money. So you really want to get to a level where you're being very granular, and you're saying, all right, this is what I do. I am, a medical insurance attorney, Los Angeles. Those are words you're going to want to start to look at. But how do I, in succinct keyword phrases, define what it is that I do? So, and that once you do that, and I think it's important to do the paid, even if it's a small campaign, $1,000 a month or $50 a month, whatever you want to do. It's going in and in Google AdWords, which is free, allows you to go in and put your discipline of your firm into the AdWords, and then it'll also show you what other people are looking for and searching for. And that'll help you build a list. And one of the things that there's one that I use is called Evernote, and it's at evernote.com. If you are familiar with Evernote, you probably love it. If you're not, I encourage you to go and grab it, because I use Evernote for everything. So when I'm out, what Evernote is, it's like Microsoft Word, but it's across every device. So on your mobile device, on your laptop, everywhere. As soon as you put it in, it's updated everywhere. And so with everything that I do, I use Evernote with my keywords, because I'm constantly seeing something, and I'll pull out my mobile device, and hey, that's something I got to think about in my search terms, and I'll come back and I'll put that into Google AdWords, and I'll see what that looks like and how much money does that word or that phrase cost. So at first, then you're able to then look at the organic side. And about the organic side is that once you know what the keywords are that really describe what your business does, then you can start to do kind of the next step of, which we're going to get into, of this organic marketing. And again, there's two ways to do it. One is the top down, which is put money in the tank and you're on top of the page because you're paying for those keywords. And the bottom up, which is SEO, which is the organic rise of content, organic rise of your name and your firm based on what it is that you do. Google awards you for putting good content onto the web, and and that will rise you up in the natural ranks inside of the search engines. Let's move on. So let's go to, again, we've been talking about this. What is it about search that makes it fundamentally different than other channels like display ads and Facebook? Is that when people, especially in this particular area of something happens and that triggers a reaction, and that reaction is I need something. So when somebody needs something, they want something that's very specific, and I'm in a car accident and I need an attorney, I'm going to lean forward. And when I lean forward, that's a very high intent. So clients, tend to be further along in the decision process and journey because they're trying to find you. So that's why it's important to know what are your keywords, what are people thinking about, and there's two things that I do. Number one is I try to stop thinking about what I'm thinking about and try to think about what other people are thinking about for searching for you. So ask a family member, ask, if you're a random person on the street, getting that kind of insight from somebody else is really important. And the other thing that I do, and again, this is why I love Evernote, is I take a day, and because that's what I do, but I'll take some time and I'll actually talk into my phone. So when you press for Siri, or if you have an Android phone and you're talking into Google, you'll be interested to see how what you type on a keyboard is very different than what you speak, your spoken word. So take that into account, and that's more of what I call psychographic keyword analysis. Because that people, especially if they're in trouble, and they're going to say, hey, I need a car, I'm in an accident, I need an attorney. Something as simple as that where they're talking. Google is really good at intent and understanding what to display. So if you're able to actually have those in your search terms and in your pocket, you have a better chance of being on top of Google than other people. So again, if you look, now if you go back and just kind of look at a page at Google, and if you have a browser and want to pull one up and just type in a search term and look at the page, what you'll see is paid ads again are typically populate the top of the page, and they are denoted by a very faint thing that says, a very faint graphic that says ad. And on the right side, those are ads as well, but they're not as much. Most of the ads, the higher cost ads are on the top, the lower cost ads are on the right-hand side. And organic results are further down on the page. So, you can buy 4 ads, and then from there on the bottom, that's where the organic results kick in. And certain brands or famous people may have extra information associated with a search query along the top and on the right side of the page, and these are related to a knowledge graph. And I'm going to cover that. Now, I'm going to cover that in this lecture briefly, and we'll go on to that next page. So let's check that out. And so again, it's a lean forward. I'm looking for something. It's not sitting back and having things come to me. I'm actively looking for something, for someone to help me with a problem. Well, the intent to hire is very high, and you need to make sure when they come to your website that you connect with them, and you want to make sure you're in front of their face until they choose you or go somewhere else. So this little graph here, if there's an accident, of course, it equals an attorney. That's a high intent. This little graph here is just saying that however, whether it's a talking to Siri or either one of those methodologies is going to push you into a search query. When that search query comes back, what's that messaging that you're going to be giving them, and how are you going to display that information on your website, and how is that going to turn into either A, call you, or B, more information about you. Oh, really? Here's a white paper? Oh, here's an ebook on the top 10 things you need to know on an accident? Heck yeah, that's going to convert, and that's going to get you the email. So tie it all back. It's about getting people to either call you or be able to get their email so that you can follow that prospect all the way through. Okay, here's your page. So as you can see, this is an older version of Google actually, but this yellow is, and down here are the organic results. So there we go. Let's keep moving on. So now let's talk about content marketing. And that is the big buzz of 2015. And it's things that I've been doing for a long time, and it does work, and it's very important. And going back to the three things that I have to think about was it's not getting caught up in this technology. Think about what you're really good at and how you describe it, and looking at the company, culture of your firm, and the things that resonate with your ethics, with your pro bono work, things you do as a firm together, the things that are important to you. Whether that's what's important to put into content marketing. And again, we're looking like a caveman. We're setting traps out there to try to get people to come to the site. So, and these are the tech that I've used successfully in creating content that and putting it into the webosphere and networks, social networks, and search networks to bring back results. So what we're talking about right now is more of the SEO, the search engine optimization, and the organic side. So how do we create this? We break it down. So look at the content your firm is creating every day. You need to find relevant, interesting articles that reflect the vision of your firm, and look at how, have two people each week find relevant content to share with their clients. Don't just put this all on you, put it on the entire firm, find out different things that are interesting. If they're interesting, share it. Because whether it's an article, a case law, or something that resonates with the core values and your ethics, the material should be something that you can make granular and then share it. And all this does is increases the visibility and awareness of your firm. You don't have to be marketing your firm the entire time, but you can be talking about things that are important in your area of law, the cases that you've worked on, things that are poignant that you can share. Those are good things to think about. So then it's about, again, blending this all together. You want to leverage every medium that you have, whether it's your blog that you're putting content on. If you're out doing the charity work and the pro bono work, what happened there? Can I bring that back and then put that back onto the blog? Can I put that into email? Can I share that on social media? Does that have take pictures and share that on social media? Look at your associates again, leveraging the other people inside your firm, even your vendors and other people that are associated with you. What are they doing? That's different. All those things, and again, that's why I really love Evernote because I can use that, and again, it's free. I can use that whenever I think of something to put it down, and that gives me something to actually share with my network as well. So, and then once you have it, it helps you to continue to build out your keywords, helps you continue to find new prospects through search and social networks. And here's the thing, guys, is that you want to make it easy for people to get a hold of you and ask questions. So conversation creates the dialogue. That dialogue creates awareness. The awareness creates interest, and the interest creates sales. And one thing you can do, and again, this is what's great, get a chat box on your website and have the receptionist or someone in the office just be logged into the service. And a lot of these services are free, and again, free to a point of how many chats you're going to get. Hey, if it's working for you and people are connecting with you through the chat box on your website, fantastic. I think this one here is Pure Chat. Again, it's free. It's easy to install as well. And back to WordPress, a lot of these companies that start these services like this make plugins for WordPress, so it's easier for you to go and just install it onto your site and have it working. And you can turn it off. So you can be logged in, and that little chat box will come up. You can turn it off, and then it's not there. Or it'll say, leave a message. And if you leave a message, what are you collecting? Emails. And that's important. Now you have a way to get a hold of them and follow back up with them. So if there's one part of this presentation that I want you to take home with you and put in your brain, it's setting up a dashboard in Chrome. And what that means is with Chrome, you have the ability to create different personas. It's its own browser. It has its own extensions, its own cache, its own everything. It's like being on a completely different computer with a completely different browser. And why that's important is you can set it up so that everything that's germane to your business comes up in that browser. And it's not your personal stuff, it's not your Facebook, it's not your Twitter, it's not your all the stuff that you would leisurely go and look at. It's all things that are specific to your company. And this is how every client I set up this way. It's what I recommend, and I can't, again, stress this more to the point, is that you want to set up your company to have one master account up here on the top, or master corporate profile. Why? I can't tell you how many times I've come across people who have a Facebook fan page that's hosted by an ex-employee that then got mad, and now they're locked out of their Facebook profile and their fan page, and they now could perform slander from across the board, whether it's MailChimp, like we talked about, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest. You want to make sure, or LinkedIn, that one Gmail account, and I use Gmail and very purposefully use Gmail because I'm using Chrome, and when you log into Chrome, you can have your own instance. And again, if this doesn't make sense to you, I have videos explaining this as well, and I'll include that all in the package so you can see it. But this is a diagram of how you want to set this up. And the reason why you do that is now when you log in to your Chrome instance, you're going to be logged into your analytics, into your AdWords, into your LinkedIn, your Pinterest, your Twitter, everything, and you own it and you control it. That's the most important thing. This may not be applicable to some of the smaller firms. For larger firms, I also create what I call satellite profile or customer service profile. Again, these are fictitious names, but they're fictitious only in that I want to make sure that you protect your line and your firm's identity online. And the satellite profile, you can assign permissions to it. So let's say that profile just goes and has discussions with people. And if that's Jane Doe having a conversation with everybody and answering questions and responding, but if Jane Doe is actually run by Melinda in your company, and Melinda is the receptionist and she leaves, well, Jane Doe is not left. So she still stays a part of the company's DNA and having dialogue with your client base. So it's always good to have one single point of contact that doesn't change. So think about that. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but that is really one of the most important things to have happen, and for you to be in control of the day. When you're done, you don't want to have your Facebook connected to your firm's company, or to your firm's Facebook, and you inadvertently post something where you shouldn't have. So you want to separate church from state. Going on here. That's 150. We're almost done. So uploading videos. We were talking about creating articles. If you create an article, you can literally just do an audio post. Just read out the first 500 lines of the of the article and put it up on YouTube. Just put some images up there and put it up on YouTube. And then again, you're putting we're in our organic marketing. You need to put that information down at the bottom of YouTube. That gets indexed. That's really super important. That will help. In some cases, your videos will be listed higher than your actual firm's website. Again, creating articles. You want to create articles based on the keywords that you found that surround your business. So, article into your blog is important, but also know that you want to keep it about 1,500 to 2,400 words is what Google likes to see, long-form content. And that's I have a whole article writing guide I can share with you as well. And so I just want to touch base on it since I want to leave some time for some Q&A. And again, I know hashtags are important, and Google's indexing them. So if you think of something that's important as a keyword, hashtag inside of your marketing materials when you post it, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, any of those places. This is a part of the package that you'll get as well. It's just a way to track your articles, so that you know what you've put out where, so you don't duplicate your efforts. And again, everything, it's all about measuring. It's all about results. It's wherever you can post it, you want to make sure that you can measure it. And this data is really valuable, and it helps you identify what you want to do next. And I use Google Analytics, and I also use a program called Bitly. And all Bitly does is takes really long website names and makes them very tiny, turns them into a little tiny, like a shortcut for the bookmark. And what's great about Bitly is that, like whenever I share an article with somebody, I will use my Bitly account, and it's free. And when they use that, clicks on it, then I can go and see, hey, you know what? I put this article out into whatever network it was, and I got this many people that read it. And it's sometimes this is way more valuable than because I can actually directly see the results posted instantly. And again, whoever's doing your AdWords or doing your marketing, you want to make sure you track the results. Again, from doing this for the last 15 years, I'll give this to you as well, but it's just a way to track everything. So you can see how am I doing each week. And again, you'll see that for certain words with AdWords and with organic, so SEM and SEO, you'll start seeing yourself rise to the ranks. And you want to see what's working, what position, if you're falling down in certain areas, so you can keep track of things. And any company that is reputable and is good at doing search engine optimization or search engine marketing should give you this type of reports. And so my hope is to give you the tools for you to be understand what's coming at you and be smarter about quantifying what's being done for your firm. And basically, this is the whole picture of how I put process and flow together of content. I won't go into it, but this is, again, you can review it on your own, but this will really give you a picture of how, and I've actually updated this as well. This will give you a good picture on how content should flow and how to identify what your marketing campaign should look like on both a organic and paid perspective. So at the end, guys, it's just understanding your marketing campaigns and how they're performing. What additional leads have resulted from the efforts that you've done? How can you easily distribute the content to your core clients? How do you engage them over a longer period? Maintain control of your channels, which is really important. You don't want somebody else having control of your entities and online. And understanding how to quantify and read that analytical data. And just maintaining an ongoing relationship with your core clientele is important. That 80-20 rule, if you can get that 20% to go out there and evangelize what it is that you do, that's key. That will allow you to expand your core client base and with the people that want to endorse your services. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We're right on time. We've got a few minutes left for some questions. I'll put it off on the floor. Emily, thanks.
Okay, and could all the attendees also type in the passcode once again into the Q&A? And the question is, how can we make good use of Google Analytics feedback and reports?
Ooh, that's, I don't know where to start. Okay, so the best use of analytics is, it depends on where you're coming from. If you're doing AdWords and you want to look at what your analytics are to see how much traffic is coming through compared to how many people am I closing. So, and with analytics, it's on the organic side, it's nice to see what's trending. But analytics, to me, sometimes is limited because it doesn't necessarily tell me everything that I need to know. And there's a thing called unspecified, and that unspecified is getting larger and larger as they just don't know where the traffic came from. And that, honestly, is why I'm using services more like Bitly. There's a great site. There's two really good sites that I use for distributing content. One is called socialreport.com, and what socialreport.com does is allows you to not only create or take your articles and then schedule them to put them into the networks, which is great. See a lot what's happening on the entire spectrum, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, but it also brings in Google Analytics. So with that data, I would actually say I would use Social Report, and that is a paid service. I think it's 30 days free, and I think it's $10 a month. But that is a great service to be able to map the Google Analytic data with other data and get a clearer picture. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. What are your thoughts on using landing pages with Google Ads rather than just sending the person to your main web page?
Okay, great question. Two things. Number one, landing pages are great. Again, we've got to be careful as attorneys on how we're positioning those landing pages. But landing pages can be in the form of, hey, give us your email in exchange for an ebook. It could be take a survey. Instead of saying, here are the top 10 reasons, top 10 things you want to think about in a car crash, you can turn it into take the test and see what are the top 10 reasons what are the top things that you need to know about it. And then you could drop them into and here's the thing too, guys, it's not dropping them into the web page. So taking it to www.yourfirm.com, you want to be very, very pragmatic in putting deep links. And it's a fancy term for saying go, instead of sending them to your homepage, send them to the About Us section. Send them to a page that has a certain practice of law on it. So it'd be yoursite.com/blog/ a keyword that is associated with that article, or yourfirm.com / insurance claims / whatever that word's going to be. Those deep links are what Google are looking at. So you can actually get penalized by throwing all your links just to the homepage. So in your posts, make sure you're going, okay, if you're posting something, don't just send them to the front page. In your lead gen pages as well, which are good, send them to a spot in your website so that you've got that's not the front page, but someplace deeper inside the site. And Google likes to see that and actually rewards you for doing that. Good questions.
Those are all the questions we have, so thank you so much for answering those. In addition to being your best source for testifying and consulting experts, TASA also offers e-discovery and document management solutions, free interactive webinars, and research reports on expert witnesses, such as the Challenge History Report 2.0, the Professional Sanction Search, and the Expert Profile 360. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending, and most especially Mark Heninger for his time and effort in creating this presentation. If you would like to speak with Mr. Heninger, or if you would like to speak with a TASA representative regarding an expert witness for a case that you are working on, please contact TASA at 1-800-523-2319. Thank you all again for attending, and have a great day, everyone. This concludes our program for today.
Thank you.